A senior Syrian Kurdish leader dismisses reports that Kurds are planning to establish an independent state in northern Syria. Saleh Muslim, a high-ranking Democratic Union Party official, says Kurds are not seeking independence from Syria. Rather, they want to launch a series of relief programs to help the people. The Syrian government has granted Kurds a certain level of autonomy since 2012. They're now controlling security of the region. In recent months, Kurdish fighters have been battling foreign-backed insurgents in the area. The Kurds say they're opposed to foreign interference in Syria. Well, to discuss that a bit further, we're now joined by Mimi Allaham, who is a Syrian activist, and she's joining us live now via Skype from Australia. Thanks a lot for joining us, Mimi. Now, tell us, how do you feel about this latest statement of the Syrian Kurds? Should that give some encouragement to Syrians that the Syrian people are united at this point?
Well, it's a very complicated situation. I think the initial quote comes from Al Jazeera, which is the Qatar-backed satellite channel, who has been known to manufacture news that the Qatari anti-Syria agenda. So I would also want to put it into context of the U.S. and Zionist policy makers that have declared on multiple occasions that they would like to see the Syrian and the Iraqi state divided into threes: a north, a middle, and a south, and of course including a Kurdistan. So this was said with Kissinger recently, where he said the best outcome in Syria would be a divided state, a Balkanized Syria. And in 2006, Condoleezza Rice, in her declaration of the projects for a new Middle East, it showed a map showing exactly how they would like Syria divided. Now, ironically, the Zionist and U.S. agenda is opposing the Turkish agenda, and it hurts their ally Turkey the most because it has the largest Kurdish population. And, recently, 5 days ago, Öcalan, who is the leader of the PKK, threatened to call off the truce that he made with Erdogan. So things are looking shaky for him. But the Iraqi Kurds at the Peshmerga, U.S. wasn't able to influence the PYD from the sphere of the influence of the Syrian government as much as they would have liked. And in 2012, they had a so-called agreement, as you said, and in the beginning, the U.S. media was quite gung-ho about seeing Syrian Kurds turning on the government. But for the most part, Syrian Kurds have been fighting the U.S.-backed insurgents far more, and apparently they have recently declared that they've captured the head of Jabhat al-Nusra. Now, I'm not sure how the power plays will go in the future, but I think Syria is clearly in a stronger position than the Zionist and U.S. policymakers thought it would be.
Well, maybe we just have under a minute left. I wanted to ask you, who would benefit from a divided Syria?
Of course, Israel would benefit most from a weakened and divided Syria, especially if the largest population of Syria has the least amount of water, especially if they can rip the coast away from the rest of Syria and turn it into a landlocked country. That would benefit Israel the most. It would divide the region, and basically people will fight amongst themselves instead of fighting the imperialists and the Zionist occupiers.
All right, Mimi Allaham, thanks a lot for that. That was Mimi Allaham speaking to us live from Australia.